I'm excited to dive into a question that comes up all the time among lifters. Does the type of creatine you choose really matter for your pre workout? You've likely seen online debates between Team Monohydrate and Team HCl. One side praises old school monohydrate for its affordability and proven results. The other touts hydrochloride as a modern, fast absorbing, bloat free alternative. Before taking sides, it's important to understand how creatine works in your body and whether differences in chemistry translate to real benefits in the gym. In this session, I'll break down the basics of creatine synthesis and storage, compare monohydrate and HCl in terms of solubility, absorption, performance, and side effects, and walk through practical considerations like dosing, timing, cost, and convenience. I'll finish with clear recommendations on who might prefer each form and how to critically evaluate supplement labels. To begin, let's ask a simple question. Are all creatine forms created equal? Supplement companies love to tell you that creatine hydrochloride is superior because it dissolves better, requires a smaller dose, and eliminates bloating. Gym bros often counter that you can't beat monohydrate if you're on a budget and want proven gains. With so many voices, it's easy to assume the differences must show up in the weight room, but marketing language doesn't always reflect scientific reality. My goal today is to dissect these claims and see what the evidence says about absorption, performance, and side effects. We'll start by revisiting what creatine actually is and how it fuels high-intensity exercise. Understanding the basic physiology will help you evaluate whether any form can truly claim to be more absorbable or whether the key is simply taking enough every day. Let's first remind ourselves what creatine does in the body. In essence, creatine is a naturally occurring compound made from the amino acids arginine, glycine, and methionine. Your body synthesizes it in the liver, kidneys, and pancreas, and about 90 to 95% of it is stored in skeletal muscle as free creatine or phosphocreatine. During explosive movements like sprinting or weightlifting, the phosphagen system quickly recycles adenosine diphosphate into ATP using phosphocreatine, providing an immediate energy source. While small amounts come from red meat and fish, most of the creatine in our muscles comes from endogenous production or supplementation. When you supplement, you're not adding a foreign substance, you're simply increasing your muscle's creatine reservoir to support higher intensity efforts. Now that you know how creatine works, let's look at the most researched form on the market, creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate has been the gold standard for decades. It's stable, inexpensive, and widely available, and numerous studies show it can raise muscle creatine content by 15 to 40%. A typical maintenance dose is 3 to 5 grams per day. Some athletes choose a loading phase of 15 to 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days to saturate their muscles faster, then drop to maintenance dose. Research consistently demonstrates improvements in strength, power output, lean body mass, and even cognitive performance when monohydrate is taken consistently. With a long track record of safety and efficacy, this form remains the benchmark by which all others are judged. Next, let's see how creatine hydrochloride differs and what claims surround this newer form. Creatine HCl is essentially creatine bound to hydrochloric acid. Because the molecule is more polar and highly soluble in water, it dissolves quickly and remains stable in low pH environments. Manufacturers claim this allows for smaller doses, typically around 1.5 to 3 grams per day, and eliminates the need for a loading phase. They also tout reduced gastrointestinal discomfort and bloating because you don't have undissolved powder sitting in your stomach. However, these benefits come at a premium. Creatine hydrochloride costs several times more per gram than monohydrate. To decide whether the extra cost is worth it, we need to look beyond marketing and examine the actual science on solubility and absorption. In terms of solubility, there's no contest. Creatine HCl dissolves roughly 40 times better than monohydrate. 5 grams of HCl can dissolve in about 20 milliliters of water, whereas the same amount of monohydrate may require up to half a liter. That higher solubility and acid stability can make for a smaller scoop, easier mixing, and less chance of powder sitting in your gut causing bloating or discomfort. However, once these forms hit your digestive tract, they both dissociate into free creatine and the hydrochloride or water molecules. Your muscles don't care which form the creatine came from. What matters is that enough free creatine reaches them and that you take it consistently. So while solubility may improve palatability, it doesn't automatically translate into better absorption or greater muscle saturation. To see if performance differs, let's look at the research on strength and body composition. Only a handful of studies have directly compared creatine monohydrate with creatine HCl. One notable trial from 2015 gave healthy young men 5 grams of monohydrate or varying doses of HCl and measured their bench press and leg press performance over 4 weeks. Both groups improved strength significantly, and only the HCl group showed a reduction in fat mass alongside gains in fat-free mass. However, the sample sizes were small, and there were no significant differences in performance metrics between the forms. Most of the robust evidence supporting creatine's benefits still comes from monohydrate research. Until more studies examine HCl head-to-head, we should be cautious about claims of superior efficacy. If their effects on strength are similar, the next logical question is how to dose each form effectively. For monohydrate, the evidence supports a daily maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams. If you choose to load, 15 to 20 grams per day split into smaller servings can saturate your muscles more quickly, but it isn't necessary. Creatine HCl is often marketed at lower doses, around 1.5 to 3 grams per day, because of its solubility. Regardless of form, the key is to take creatine every day, not just on training days. Creatine works through saturation, not acute stimulation, so timing relative to your workout is far less important than consistency. Whether you mix it with your pre-workout, post-workout shake, or morning coffee, focus on hitting your daily dose. With dosing covered, let's turn to how each form might affect your stomach and water retention. When you take large amounts of poorly dissolved powder, it can sit in your stomach and draw in water, causing bloating and gastrointestinal discomfort. That's why some people experience stomach upset during monohydrate loading phases. Creatine HCl's high solubility means it dissolves completely and may lead to fewer GI complaints, particularly in those with sensitive stomachs. Monohydrate also increases water retention inside muscle cells and in the extracellular space, which can make you feel puffy during the loading phase. Early reports suggest HCl causes less visible water weight gain, but the evidence is limited. Ultimately, side effects are manageable if you drink adequate water and split your doses. Next, we'll consider another practical factor: cost and convenience. Costs often drive supplement decisions. Creatine monohydrate is widely produced and therefore inexpensive, roughly 10 to 20 cents per 5-gram serving. Creatine HCl, by contrast, can cost 40 to 80 cents per dose due to patent licensing and lower economies of scale. HCl also usually comes in capsules or flavored powders with smaller scoops, which some people find more convenient for travel or mixing into a small beverage. Ultimately, there's no magic in the delivery format. The extra cost reflects convenience rather than performance. Choose based on your budget and the form you'll take consistently. Now let's talk about whether you need creatine in your pre-workout at all and how it combines with other supplements. Remember that creatine is a saturation ingredient, not an acute stimulator. You do not need to take it right before your workout for it to work. Including creatine in a pre-workout can be helpful if you have trouble remembering a standalone dose. It adds one less step to your routine. Creatine pairs well with pump enhancers like citrulline or nitrates, because increased blood flow helps deliver nutrients to muscles. It also complements osmolytes like glycerol or betaine for hydration and volumization. However, if you take multiple creatine-containing products such as a pre-workout plus a post-workout stack, pay attention to your total daily intake so you don't overdo it. On that note, let's clear up a few common myths before we decide which form is right for you. There are several myths surrounding creatine forms. One claim is that creatine HCl doesn't require a loading phase, while smaller doses might saturate muscles given enough time. The idea that a few grams of HCl can equal 20 grams of monohydrate is not supported by robust research. Another myth is that monohydrate causes hair loss. Current evidence shows no direct link between creatine supplementation and male pattern baldness. We also hear that because HCl is more soluble, it must be more effective. Solubility can improve comfort, but both forms deliver creatine once digested. Finally, some people think creatine must be cycled. There's no evidence that healthy individuals need to cycle off. Creatine stores remain stable with continuous supplementation. With these misconceptions addressed, let's talk about who might lean toward monohydrate versus HCl. If you're on a tight budget and want maximum bang for your buck, creatine monohydrate is the way to go. It's extremely affordable and has decades of research behind it, demonstrating improvements in strength, power, lean mass, and even cognitive performance. Monohydrate is also ideal for people who don't experience stomach discomfort when taking powders, and who are willing to drink enough water to accommodate its lower solubility. Finally, if you want to maximize muscle creatine quickly via a loading protocol, monohydrate is the only form with clear evidence that high doses accelerate saturation. Those factors make it the default choice for most athletes. In contrast, certain individuals may lean towards HCl for other reasons, which we'll explore next. Creatine hydrochloride has its own niche. If you're sensitive to gastrointestinal upset or dislike the bloating, sometimes associated with monohydrate, HCl's high solubility and smaller scoop sizes can improve comfort. People who travel frequently may prefer capsules or tiny servings they can mix into a small glass of water. Those with fluid restrictions, such as athletes cutting weight or individuals with kidney conditions under medical supervision, might appreciate requiring less fluid to dissolve their creatine. Finally, some early evidence hints that HCl may influence body composition, though the data is far from conclusive. These factors make HCl attractive to a subset of users. To wrap up, I'll give my overall verdict on how to choose between the two. Both creatine monohydrate and creatine hydrochloride will saturate your muscles and enhance strength and power when dosed appropriately. The key differences lie in how easily they dissolve, how large each scoop needs to be, potential side effects, and how much they cost. Monohydrate wins on affordability, availability, and the sheer volume of supportive research. HCl offers convenience and may reduce GI discomfort at a higher price. There's no evidence that one form produces dramatically superior gains when taken in equivalent amounts. Therefore, choose monohydrate if you prioritize cost and proven efficacy, and choose HCl if you value convenience and tolerance over price. Finally, let's talk about how to apply this critical thinking to supplement shopping in general. When choosing a creatine supplement or any supplement, always read the label and look for evidence-based doses. For creatine, that means a daily total of 3 to 5 grams regardless of form, with optional loading if you need faster saturation. Consider your own tolerance, budget, and preferences when selecting between monohydrate and HCl. Don't let buzzwords like micronized or rapid absorption distract you from what matters: adherence and total intake. Stick with the form you'll take consistently. Pair it with good hydration and a balanced training program, and you'll reap the benefits. Keep thinking critically about marketing claims, and stay tuned for more ingredient breakdowns from AOF supplements.